Hello, this is Mrs. Rodolphi, and I'm going to go over the adding and subtracting polynomials graphic organizer. One thing I would suggest is getting a couple highlighters, different color highlighters or colored pencils to color code. It's always really helpful for your learning. So for adding and subtracting polynomials, problems can be written three different ways. Each means the same thing. So we could see f of x plus g of x, or you could see it as f plus g of x. These are both telling you to find to add, and then another way it might say is find the sum of f of x and g of x. So these are all three telling you to add the polynomials together. Another way is you might see f of x minus g of x, f minus g of x, and find the difference of f of x and g of x. So this is telling you to subtract all three of these. Let's do some examples. So we're given three different functions up here. And then first it says find f of x minus h of x. So looking up here, the minus tells us to subtract the two. So one thing I'm going to show you, and I would write this on your graphic organizer, is always use parentheses. Because I see so many mistakes, especially with the subtraction problems, that you want to start with parentheses. So let's find f of x. So up here, we're going to rewrite. So we're going to put it in parentheses. 9x squared minus 4x plus 2. Then we want to subtract h of x. So we're going to put minus, and then parentheses, negative 2x squared plus 3x minus 10. All right, so this is the way the problem is set up. Now, as I always tell my students, we have these invisible ones in here. So I want you to put ones in front of both sets of parentheses. So this minus parentheses, it's like a negative 1 right here. And then since there's nothing in front of this one, we can say this is a positive 1. So first we want to simplify and get rid of the parentheses by distributing. We want to multiply 1 times everything inside here. Now, if I multiply everything by 1, it stays the same. So I can rewrite this as the same. But when I multiply everything by negative 1, negative 1 times negative 2x squared becomes positive 2x squared. Negative 1 times positive 3x becomes negative 3x. And negative 1 times negative 10 becomes positive 10. So when you have this negative in front, when you're subtracting, everything in the parentheses after that pretty much changes to the opposite sign. So that negative 2x squared became positive 2x squared. Plus 3x became minus 3x. Negative 10 became positive 10. All right, now I can combine like terms. Like terms have to have the same variables and the same exponents. So this is where I'm going to use my highlighters to color code. So for example, I can use pink for my x squared terms. So I see this has 9x squared and this has 2x squared. And I'm also going to highlight the sign in front of it so I know if I need to add or subtract. So 9x squared plus 2x squared equals 11x squared. Then I'm going to use my green to highlight my x terms. So negative 4x minus 3x. And also, if you need to, use your calculator if you struggle with like certain operations like with negatives. So if we need to do negative 4 minus 3, so you would do negative 4 minus 3, we get negative 7. So that would be negative 7x. And then I have a yellow highlighter. I don't know how well it's going to show on here. It shows a little bit. So then we can highlight our constants, the ones without variables. Also, if you don't have colors, you can use different symbols. I'll show that in the next example. Like we could just underline both of these, something to show that we're combining those. 2 plus 10 is 12 plus 12. And this would be our final answer. Also make sure it's always in standard form. you want the largest exponent first, and then it goes in descending order from largest exponent to smallest. This x by itself is like x to the first power, and then 12 is essentially like x to the 0 power. So this would be in standard form. And then I'm just going to go back and highlight so just showing that 11x squared I got from adding 9x squared plus 2x squared, and then negative 7x. So it might help to also highlight your final answer, just so you know where you got those numbers from. So that's why color coding helps. It helps us make those connections, how we got our answer. All right, find the sum of f of x and g of x. Sum, that means we want to add. So going back up here, put it in parentheses, 9x squared minus 4x plus 2 plus, and then g of x is 3x minus 1. Again, I'm going to put my invisible ones, I'm going to write them in front. These are both positive 1. It does not change anything inside the parentheses, so I would just rewrite it. So even though sometimes it doesn't change anything, it just helps us to write it with parentheses first, just to make sure. All right, now we can highlight our like terms. So I have 9x squared. I don't see another x squared term, so I can just bring that down. Negative 4x plus 3x. Those are like terms. And then our constants, plus 2 and minus 1. So negative 4 plus 3 is negative 1x. Remember, we usually just write it as negative x. That 1 is invisible. And then 2 minus 1 is 1. So plus 1. This is in standard form from largest exponent to smallest. And then again, I'll highlight my terms. All right, last one, find f minus g of x. Going back up here, that is telling us to subtract. So I need to write my f of x in parentheses, so that's 9x squared minus 4x plus 2, and then minus, and then g of x was 3x minus 1. Again, put those ones that are invisible right now. This is positive 1, nothing changes inside my parentheses, so I will just rewrite that. This negative 1 will change to the opposite signs. Negative 1 times 3x is negative 3x. Negative 1 times negative 1 is positive 1. Now I can highlight my like terms. 9x squared. I don't see another x squared, so that's going to stay the same. Negative 4x and negative 3x. And then that would equal negative 7x, and then 2 plus 1 would be 3 plus 3. So this would be our answer. Oh, and I said I would show you, if you don't have colors, you can use symbols. So like, for example, you could circle the x terms. You could put a box around, or circle the x squared terms. You could put a box around the x terms. You could underline the constant. So something like that, just to show what you're combining. It really helps a lot of students. So I would recommend trying it and see if it helps you if you don't have colors. All right, so then I'm just going to color code my answer. That 9x squared. I got negative 7x from combining negative 4x minus 3x, and I got plus 3 from combining 2 plus 1. All right. Thank you for watching. Have a good rest of your day.